like the Tempo Mage deck in your lineup, this is the matchup you want with it, right?
Yeah, this is definitely the matchup you want with Tempo Mage. This is the whole point of Tempo Mage is to get that free sneaky win against Druid, because you expect a lot of people to be playing Druid, and it's one of the hardest matchups for Druid to deal with, if it is indeed Tempo Mage. So
yeah, I mean, there's definitely some other mage decks out there. You know, we talked about it earlier. I'm hoping for a grinder mage deck. I want the 45-minute game where your opponent holds on because it's a tournament and they keep playing the game out. But
please no, no, we don't need any resident sleeper mage. Oh my god.
Oh, you don't want to see Echo of Medivh going off multiple times?
No, I want to see any echoes or anything like that. I want to see some Tempo Mage, man. I want to see some fireballs fly in. I want to see a bunch of what's that 3/4 called that gives a random spell card? That card's crazy to watch. Yeah, Spell Slinger. Get some esports moments. Lots of PogChamp.
What if he's just playing straight up Casino Mage? You know, just the full RNG mage deck that we see people stream with and have a lot of fun with it. That would be fully esports.
Yeah, but how do you make it through 10 rounds of Swiss with Casino Mage? Like, full esports? No way.
There was actually a challenge in the Archon house the other night. I offered anyone who could win 7 games in a row with Casino Mage $100 if they could do it. And no one got past 3. Like,
wow.
They lost a lot of ranks trying to get it done, by the way, too.
Yeah.
I watched somebody lose like 2,000 or 3,000 ranks in Legend, and it was pretty fun to watch. But for people who don't know the Casino Mage deck that we're referencing, almost every card in the deck does something random. Like, you can't actually tell exactly what any of your cards are going to do at any time. So trying to consistently win a lot of games in a row with that deck can be quite difficult.
So Coleman's opening hand, we see a Frost Nova. We see a Blood Mage Thalnos, possibly a Freeze Mage here. Could still also be some sort of grinder mage. And then from JJPasak, we have the Dream Druid hand, pretty much.
It's Wild Growth?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this is something you... Oh, I see a duplicate.
Oh my god, is it the grinder mage? Maybe some Sludge Belchers.
I have seen some players play Freeze Mage with, you know, one of those secrets in their deck. Just one. Which
it can help out a lot against Patron Warrior.
Yeah, it can help out against Patron Warrior, but I gotta believe if I had to bet on what kind of deck this is a grinder mage deck.
Really? I don't know.
I don't know. Frost Nova, though, it is kind of... You know what? Maybe this is that deck that Era made really popular a few months ago. You know, the one that has like Alexstrasza, Ragnaros in it, and like one Illuminator. You know, it was like kind of like a grinder mage deck, but it didn't have Echo of Medivh.
Huh. I'm excited to see. Yeah,
I love seeing new, different decks. I mean, something that we see all the time here. And would you ever coin out this Wild Growth here?
I think it's pretty good leading up into Shades. Just, do you think your opponent's got a Frostbolt or not is really the question you got to ask yourself. And is it worth the risk to play Darnassus here? Because the downside is, I guess, your opponent spends their turn 2 clearing, and then you get to spend your turn 2 ramping up then after that. So it's like not even that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad, but then you're ramping up to 4, and you don't have a 4 just yet.
True.
Yeah, this is one of those times, you know, I've talked to some people about this. Some people like just playing the Darnassus here because it's the biggest punishing play. Like, if they don't have Frostbolt, you just have a 2/3 to punch them in the face with. Next couple turns.
I mean, it also impedes their turn too. They have to, like, deal with it. So now Coleman, for example, he can't play this Mad Scientist if he wants to deal with it. He has to Frostbolt. So the downside, you're skipping your turn, and your opponent's skipping their turn, and then you're Wild Growthing. So it's like not that big of a downside if it gets dealt with by Frostbolt.
Yeah, it's not a downside at all. That's why I like playing the Darnassus. You know, it's not like you're really losing much if it ends up dying, but you do gain a lot if it stays alive. I mean, it could get in something like 4 to 6 damage in a lot of these games. Plus, you know, if this is any kind of aggressive mage deck, if you make them Frostbolt you there and they have to play off curve for the rest of the game, that's also like something that's pretty good for you.
Yeah, and I can imagine Coleman here is going to probably just play the Acolyte of Pain and just follow his curve, so you throw down 2 Scientists next turn. Otherwise, it gets clunky if he throws down a Scientist there and hangs some mana.
All right, so now when you see Acolyte of Pain come out of the mage deck here, some warning bells have to go off, right? Like, this is you're not playing against Tempo Mage.
Tempo Mage does not run Acolyte of Pain, neither does Mech Mage, so you're like, oh, wait a minute. This is some sort of control mage. There's either some sort of freeze elements here or something's going on.
This isn't what you know, I thought it was. So now you get to start thinking about different game plans here. You know, you got to like hold on to your Keeper of the Groves to take care of something like Doomsayer. You know, you need to maybe worry about, you know, while usually Big Game Hunter doesn't have targets against a lot of the other mage decks, there's Alex Straza deck that you have to worry about. So like your whole game plan has to shift now.
Yeah, it's definitely a sign that that's happening. Now, as Coleman here, he could potentially ping his own Acolyte and slow down his development a little bit, only playing one Scientist to try and just get more value out of it. Don't know how greedy that would be, though. Yeah, it looks like he's going to take the non-greedy route.
Yeah, and if this is something like a Freeze Mage deck, then there is a chance that he has two other secrets, you know, in case, you know, JJ decides to attack a Mad Scientist here and then kill the other one, trying to, you know, maybe strand a secret. But again, you don't know that Coleman has a secret in his hand, so you don't know that you could possibly strand one here. These decks generally play more than one.
What to do?
Wow. So the bear can actually get completely dealt with if he doesn't trade off something with the shade, just by the hero power. He's got 6 health, and then the Acolyte does 1 damage. Each of the Scientists do 2, then the ping, and just Freeze Mage or any sort of control mage, they want to be able to be using their minions to trade efficiently while pulling out secrets. So if he plays this Druid of the Claw, yeah, he's gonna have to trade.
Yeah, you think he's just gonna run over this Acolyte of the Pain, you know, make sure that only 1 card draw comes out of it for Coleman, and he gets to set up this Druid behind it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the line. Yeah, he realizes that as well. He doesn't want to give away the bear for free. He's got to make Coleman commit a card from his hand to be able to deal with it. Coleman's side, he's wishing he had a fireball here. That would be disgusting, being able to just fireball down that bear and then trade into the shade.
Yeah, I'm sure that went through JJ's mind where if you're like, man, if he has a fireball, this is going to be a rough turn for me, but what else can he do? You know, he has 2 Savage Roars in the end.
Yeah, just really clunky draw from JJ's side. Whereas Coleman, he's having a lot of the tools, and it seems like it can't be that great of a matchup for him here against Druid with any sort of control mage deck, and it's looking more like Freeze Mage the more cards we see.
There is an Ice Block and an Ice Barrier down right now for on Coleman's side, so I gotta believe this is just straight up Freeze Mage, and you know he's gonna get another damage here in the Shade of Nexramas. If you're on JJ's side here, you've got to know this is signaling him.
Yeah, for sure. Blizzard is definitely the card you're expecting to see coming out next turn, but he doesn't have really much he can do to prevent it. Like, you still want to develop something. You don't want your entire board getting cleared, so I do like playing the Shredder. I mean, he's got 1 play this turn and he takes it.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, the Shredder is going to provide a pretty sticky body. It's pretty good against what Freeze Mage is trying to do. They're trying to just, you know, survive for the first couple turns and set up some big combos to finish you off with. So, yeah, getting this into play, this is the only real thing he has here, but he has an Ancient of Lore and a Dr. Boom behind this. So, you know, Ancient of Lore can draw some extra cards. Dr. Boom can present a big threat. So, when this board gets kind of swept up by this Blizzard, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, definitely. We see the Doomsayer brought to the hand now. If this Doomsayer comes down, it could potentially be devastating because the Druid doesn't have an answer. But you've seen the Druid have so many cards clogged up in their hand, you got to be afraid of that Keeper of the Grove. So he's going to take the Blizzard out.
See, even a Savage Combatant here in JJ's hand, that's actually a pretty good threat in this matchup. I mean, it's a 5/4, it's just a big body, plus it makes your hero power do 3. It's not bad in this matchup at all. It gives you another just big body that a lot of the other Druid decks don't have.
And one of the ways Freeze Mage likes to deal with things isn't really killing them. Typically, the deck only runs 1 Flame Strike and a lot of freeze spells with 2 Blizzard and 2 Frost Novas. And while Savage Combatant's frozen, it still adds 2 damage for the Druid by them just using their hero power.
Yeah, that ability, you know, Inspire gets to keep going off whether this guy's frozen or not. It's a good point. So this is a card that can be a liability for Coleman.
Dr. Boom coming down on 7. Feels bad, man.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of those today. We've seen a lot of players turn 7 Dr. Boom so far.
I mean, that's how you
games.
Yeah, that's how you make it to the top 8, though. Dr. Boom on 7 every game.
Mysterious Challenger on 6, Dr. Boom on 7 equals top 8. Is that what we're talking about now?
Oh yeah, the curve has to be good, man.
I mean, it is Hearthstone, you know.
It's important. Skilled players draw skilled cards. But the Frost Nova Doomsayer coming out this turn, though. Like, you have to do it.
Yeah, I gotta believe that's gonna be his play here. And you know, with the way JJ's hand is, this is gonna be we're gonna see a Blood Mage Thalnos here.
Wow, he's gonna try and set up the Flame Strike instead. He's afraid about the Keeper of the Grove. He's seen the 2 cards on JJ's far left, and he's thinking one of them's probably Keeper of the Grove.
Yeah, this is something tournament players, pay a lot of attention to. The fact that, JJ's had two of the same cards in his hand the entire game, and what are they? They're either combo pieces because he could have played almost every other card in his deck, or they're Keeper of the Groves because they're so important to hit a Doomsayer in this matchup. So you're going to see him play really careful with that Doomsayer here. Great heads up play from Coleman here because he's not going to take a ton of damage here this turn, and this sets up a Flame Strike next turn. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, he's only taking 4 damage. It's not even like a big deal amount of damage. So yeah, the Frost Nova wouldn't have been stalling too much damage, so pretty heads up. Yeah, it feels like Frost Nova would have been a little rushed there.
Now, what do you think? What do you think about a turn like this? Where is there ever a chance where he plays Frost Nova, a Doomsayer, and pings Ancient of Lore? That way, if it works, he gets everything, and if it doesn't, he can clean up a Flame Strike after that.
Yeah, I don't mind that line at all, especially since most of Druid's minions at this point, besides like another Druid of the Claw and a few of the big threats, they all die to Flame Strike plus ping. Like 5 health is pretty much the standard for Druid minions, because most of the big threats have been replaced by things like Emperor Thorison, which is a 5/5. So
yeah, I like that curve a lot. If we can get that play to go off, and plus, I mean, we see that JJ doesn't even have the Keeper of the Grove right now, so it looks like he might be finding that line.
Oh, he's gonna go with the duplicate Doomsayers. Oh, this is why I like the Doomsayers. Now, if the Doomsayer gets killed, he's able to have more Doomsayers to go with the Blizzard for next turn. That's pretty sweet.
Oof.
Unfortunately, Keeper of the Grove is top deck this turn. So that Doomsayer is not dying. It is just getting silenced. Unless he may silence the Dr. Boom to then kill the Doomsayer and get punished.
Yeah. I was gonna say there is a cute play where you get to actually kill the Doomsayer here with the Dr. Boom, but that gives Coleman 2 more, and there's no way he can expect that here, right? There's no way he knows that's gonna happen.
He's seen the secret in the hand of Coleman for a really long time, so he could think maybe, but I don't think. I don't know.
The way the game panned out, Coleman had 2 scientists early. Like, of course he would hold on to a secret, let the other ones get taken out of his deck. So
makes sense. Yeah, I could definitely see Keeper of the Grove coming down here on the Dr. Boom to kill the Doomsayer.
I mean, what advantages do you get for killing the Doomsayer instead of silencing it?
The Boombot has better opportunities to go face.
Yeah.
But it looks like he is going to play around duplicate on the Doomsayer by just silencing the Doomsayer there. And it's
level, deep level heads up player from JJ.
But at the same time, that Doomsayer forced the overextension into the Flame Strike. So it ended up working out for Coleman as well.
Yeah. Great sequencing here from Coleman, just getting the maximum value out of all of his cards.
Yeah, this Druid hand, though, is pretty scary. He's got that Ancient Allure to draw towards those other combos. He's got a lot of the tools he needs to close out this game, whereas if you look on Coleman's side, he's been using a lot of his resources just to stay alive. We saw that Frostbolt a little bit earlier. He does not have too much in the form of, like, gas. He's got no burn and no Alexstrasza, so how does he finish this game?
I mean, there's a Force of Nature even picked up for JJ here, so yeah, I mean, well, he just picked up a second Flame Strike. That's something you don't see all the time.
Yeah, we see the duplicate and the 2 Flame Strikes. He must be gearing towards beating Patron with this Mage deck.
Yeah, just like, he's definitely targeting Patron with this list for sure.
Because Patron can oftentimes struggle with the duplicates, and they can struggle with the double Flame Strikes, just not allowing them to have Patron-like boards. And if you try and like OTK him from far out, they have the Ice Block, and then they can heal back up with duplicated heal bots after that, and it can be a mess for Patron to deal with. But Druid has no problem with that. They have 2 combos, and they just have so much damage in their deck.
Yeah, this is generally one of the worst matchups for Freeze Mage out there. Druid just has so many big threats that always have to be answered. And this is kind of scary, right, too? If you're Druid, you need the 3rd secret now. So now you're like, this has to be something like Duplicate or Counterspell, right? You have to think it has to be something like those. Yeah,
Counterspell could be something you're really afraid of. Yeah, so, like, do you even try and combo here to pop him? Because if Force of Nature gets Counterspelled, you're kind of left with your pants down, because that's 6 mana just completely gone.
Yeah, I think we're going to see him Wild Growth here. I really do. Try to test for Counterspell. I think there's a chance we see something like Wild Growth.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance because that's really scary. The mage secrets can be just so devastating. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. That's why we're seeing him play Wild Growth here. He's going to play around Counterspell. Nice, cool, good heads-up play here. JJ, man, he's been playing really heads-up here in this.
Yeah, I mean, he's ahead in the series, so you can check to be Counterspell and be...
Plus, I mean, now he has double combo in his hand, so...
Double combo getting... Oh, 4 combo pieces getting reduced. Holy smokes.
Yeah, so at any point in time, if he can get enough damage in on Coleman, he can pop him with one of these combos, and you want to do that by getting Coleman to 1 and then finishing him off there. That way your hero power is lethal for the rest of the game. Or he's got 2 swipes in his hand too, so
and
anything around 4. Yeah,
every single card in his hand does damage.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at earlier. Is this hand and this build? I mean, look at this hand. He's got 3 Para Dealer. You know, what does he win? And
yeah, holy smokes.
This hand is so good against Freeze Mage. Now, he does have an Archmage Antonitis into Frost Nova turn here, and maybe that is something that can lead him down a path to victory.
Path to victory? You're leaving up Emperor.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look. He's got a million cards in his hand. He's already got an Emperor trigger, and he's got a big board thing. You got to take some risk at some point in time trying to...
I don't know. You got to kill it. There's no way.
I mean, Emperor's getting left up anyway, you know? Like, there was no Ice Lance here to finish it off, so...
Yeah, I guess. He's not afraid. He's not afraid.
Hey, man, sometimes you got to leave Emperor on the board.
Wow.
Sometimes to get that second discount.
I mean, he can continue freezing the board state for a while, so...
Excuse me. Have you ever beaten an Emperor that has gone off multiple times?
Yeah, definitely. You could definitely... You usually take them to fatigue in those cases then, because then they blow their load too quick in 1 turn.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say Coleman freezes the board again next turn, and now JJ has the ability to just, like, Force Nature, roar, and then he just does all of that in 1 turn because it looks really cool. He pops the block, and then Coleman's able to just freeze the board again and heal bot.
All right,
and we have a game on our hands.
That is a very corner case, but that could possibly happen. Now,
yeah.
I have seen games with Force of Nature, double Savage Roar. I've even seen a game with double Force of Nature into 1 Savage Roar. I have never seen the full 4 pieces of a combo happen in 1 turn, and I want to see it happen. Even if it loses to the game, I just want to actually see it happen.
Holy smokes. That is a lot of damage. How much damage is that? We got 6 Treants, so that's 6 plus, that's 12 damage for each roar, just the Treants, 13 with the, 14 with the heroes. That's 28 per roar, plus the 6 Treants themselves is another 12. Holy smokes.
I think it's infinite. I think we've actually gotten at the fact that it's at infinite now.
36 damage, that's ridiculous. And then he's gonna throw in the 2 swipes pretty soon.
Yeah, and I think that's why you're seeing him actually, like...
Wait a minute. If the board's frozen, he doesn't have room for the trees.
Right.
So there's possibly an out here where Coleman can just continually freeze the board forever and make sure there's not enough space for the combo to happen.
Yeah, that is the thing, but Coleman actually has to try to start winning as well. That's the other thing here. You know, yeah, he can freeze the board for a few more turns, or, you know, lean on this Flame Strike because it looks like this Emperor is going to go off yet again here for JJ.
Oh, innervate. That's what he needed. More mana. Yeah. That's what he needed.
Well, I mean, he can just play his whole hand now, like, pretty much. I mean, he's after this turn, his entire hand can be played, every single card.
Yeah, insane. But he can pop him here. Yeah, he uses Force Roar and then one of the swipes.
Yeah, I think that's what you're gonna see.
Force double Roar swipe pops him.
Yeah, that
actually just hero power
and a swipe.
Yeah, you can pop him at 1 with hero power, right? Not at 1 though.
Or a 12, 14.
He's got 14 right now. He can use 2 swipes and the hero power to pop him, or he can use the other Savage Roar to pop him.
All right, yeah, I think he's doing the math on it here, like, what's the way I can get him the lowest? You know, with 2 swipes in your hand, you really only technically need to get him to 4. So maybe Savage Roar is actually better to use here, since you don't have to... Yeah, I was about to say, you get to do this. And this way, I was about to say, you get to take out the Emperor here this way as well, right?
Yeah, you can take out the Emperor. If you want. I think it's not... If he has to use a second swipe, he can take out the Emperor.
Yeah,
I think he's using the second swipe here.
Take out the Emperor. Do you like that play?
Now, this is what I was talking about, where I said that the Coleman's out here is if JJ gets kind of like too infatuated with how many resources he has in his hands and wants to do all these cool Druid combos and then just kind of wastes a bit of it. And I feel like those swipes there were a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest though, that turn was pretty cool, Firebat.
That was pretty cool. It could still definitely have lethal with just the Force of Nature after this. But
yeah.
Coleman's got the ability to heal here for some amount of life. And then we're going to see what comes out of the Shredder. And
Yeah,
even if it comes out like something terrifying, he could just choose to Ice Lance it.
Yeah, if he doesn't Ice Lance here, this will actually exactly lethal.
Yeah, he's got to be counting that up and Ice Lance it now. He's got to be afraid of that second Force of Nature.
Yeah, you got to be thinking about the fact, you know, like, why did he just make that play? You know, why did he just go? Why did he just play his entire hand practically? You know, my opponent's a good player. He's made it this far. He knows what he's doing. Like, let's go. He has to have a plan. He didn't just YOLO play everything.
Yeah, but now he's trying to evaluate, can he win while using this Ice Lance too? Because he really wants it for that Archmage Antonidas, so he can play Archmage, kill one minion, and then freeze another minion. So he is going to say that he's probably got a shot even without it. Bad Lotheb.
Yeah, Lotheb is usually pretty backbreaking in this matchup. I mean, you can... The fact that your entire deck almost is spells when you're on the Freeze Mage side, and I know we've seen him play a lot of minions, but they're usually there just for support. A lot of the things you need to stay alive are spells. It can just cripple you.
Yeah, earlier on in the game, if the Lotheb was around when Coleman was just kind of like stalling the board for so many turns, if Lotheb came down on any of those turns, it would have been disaster. But now, actually, he can answer it with the 8-mana Fireball while still developing an Acolyte and just trade off the 2-3. And he's still 1 damage out of range with just the Force of Nature from killing him.
We may see Coleman actually turn this game around. What a game here between these two guys.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky to try and get this one to switch around. But potentially, if JJ draws dead next turn, we could see Antonidas come down and be stable.
Yeah, if he draws like another mana ramp spell, I mean, I think Coleman might actually be in the driver's seat.
Yeah, anything could happen at this point. It's really...
I mean, Coleman already has 2 fireballs in his hand. So, I mean, Antonidas doesn't have to go off that much for you to finish this game.
Well, I mean, he just needs the board presence or something, because he's probably going to have to be forced to Alex himself, because just a few hero powers, he's away from dying. 1 hero power more, and then he can be dead here. He is going to opt to go with more expensive fireball so that he can hold on to the Acolyte of Pain, I guess. I guess he wants to use the cheaper fireball with Antonidas and possibly the second Ice Lance in his deck.
Yeah, Wrath, not the worst card here. You know, he does get to cycle this and take out the...
Oh, I think I know.
Well, there's lethal here.
Uh-oh, lethal. Coleman didn't play the Acolyte because he's got 4 cards left. He's afraid of his second Ice block becoming useless.
Yeah. That is something that we didn't actually mention, the fact that he only has 4 cards left in his deck. You know, there's the fatigue thing. You know, Ice block doesn't save you from the fatigue damage, so...
That was so close. That top deck Druid of the Claw, that was like his only source of direct damage remaining.
Yeah, I think he'd already used one of the Druid of the Claws. He used both of his Savage Roars and both of his swipes. So that was his last Force of Nature as well. Yeah, he might have had another Savage Combatant back. I mean, I've seen some play too, you know.
But what was the cost of the Force of Nature was low enough that he could Savage Combatant, Hero Power, and Force. So yeah, he had 2 outs left of his entire deck. He was able to find one there. But well played by Coleman, trying to navigate like such a terrible matchup for him and gets so close to being able to take it.
Yeah, that was one of the crazier Druid turns we've seen some crazy Druid turns. You know, if you play enough Hearthstone, there's some insane stuff going on with that deck, but that was one of the crazier turns I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. He had the ability to, if the board space allowed it, go Force of Nature, Savage Roar, Savage Roar. That's just, wow. That's crazy. Pure cancer.
Yeah.
So Coleman is again going to play the Mage in the next match, and then we haven't gotten confirmed on JJ's next deck yet.
So what are the 2 that JJ has left?
2 decks that JJ has remaining are Warrior and Hunter.
Yeah, so how do you like your freeze? Oh, we got a Hunter. That's interesting. We haven't seen a ton of Hunter tournament play. It's definitely falling out of favor with some of the decks that are becoming really popular lately. And what matchup do you want if you're on, you know, JJ side, if you think he's gonna, you know, queue up Mage again? Because Mage, again, this version seems like it's really good against Grim Patron. You saw 2 Flame Strikes there. Can you queue up Patron after seeing that deck?
No. You don't queue up Patron after seeing duplicate and double flame strike.
Yeah.
Queuing up the Hunter. He's just confirmed it too. He's queuing up Hunter.
Okay, good.
He is afraid of the Patron Warrior being targeted out by that teched out Freeze Mage list. So we're gonna see how the Hunter fares. The tech cards, like duplicate, not so good against Hunter. You're not gonna be really like, maybe if you can somehow trick him into duplicating your heal bots for you, but generally they're not gonna be trading with your minions anyway. So duplicate's just not really gonna do anything.
Yeah, I think there's going to be the only chance that happens is if like a couple knives go errantly off of a knife juggler into an anti-kill bot. I think it's the only way we're going to see that thing happen in this matchup, because there's no way he's going to let him get value off of a anti-kill bot into a duplicate, right? If you're playing Hunter, it doesn't even matter if you're playing Control Hunter here. You can't let him get that card.
Yeah, I definitely can't. Just being able to get him down as quick as possible is really important, because Freeze Mage is one of those decks that if you give him enough time, they will kill you. You have to eventually kill them first. Like, you can't give him all the time in the world. Iron Begowl, that is really solid of a card.
Yeah, it's really good in this matchup. I mean, even just hitting an early Mad Scientist might be enough, but hitting a Doomsayer is great too when you're frozen. You know, if you're trying to win through minions and stuff, it's great stuff. I would expect him to keep the quick shot here, though.
No, definitely. You want Quick Shot a little bit later. Knife Juggler's insane, though. If they don't have the Frostbolt to deal with Knife Juggler, it can just win you the game on the spot. Because they're only cards that really, from the Freeze Mage side, that can contest Knife Juggler are Frostbolt and Mad Scientist. And if they miss all four of those, then Knife Juggler can live free and deal tons of damage.
I actually covered a match once where someone turned one to Knife Juggler, you know, like they coined a Knife Juggler against Freeze Mage, and they didn't kill it for 4 turns. And if I remember right, the Knife Juggler did something like 17 damage or 18 damage over the span of the game.
Yeah,
so
it's
literally your one drop did, you know, over half of your opponent's life total, and that can happen in this matchup. And we've, you know, we see here that his hand, he might not have some of the best stuff. Deal with
Coleman keeps double Doomsayer in his opening hand. Wow, double Doomsayer and duplicate.
You know what? He might be really aggressive with these Doomsayers. At least one of them. You know, he might just turn 2 or turn 3 one of them, just to either make JJ dump everything that he has into it to keep what he has on the board, or just to prevent him from playing more. You know, it's kind of like a time walk effect.
Yeah, I definitely like keeping a Doomsayer. I use it as my answer to Knife Juggler all the time, since it's one of the ways you can lose the game. Unfortunately for Coleman, though, JJ has the Iron Beak Owl. He's going to be able to efficiently deal with this Doomsayer while also developing.
Yeah, and there is a small light at the end of the tunnel if that play does happen. If he does Doomsayer here and the Iron Beak Owl comes out, at least it can soak up some knives, right? It's got, you know, some 50-50 shots of taking some damage for your face.
Oh my, this is a disaster for Coleman. This is not what you want to see, the golden hoot.
Yeah, he's even get ways to push for more damage here. You got to believe he's gonna Sergeant here for some extra tempo. I mean, all their sweepers are generally really expensive. Yeah, they have blizzards and flame strikes, and that doesn't contest this board very well yet.
Yeah,
this could be a quick one.
Yeah, this is rough right outside the gate. That Knife Juggler, he did not have the right answers to deal with it. Kind of greedy with the Doomsayer, double Doomsayer keep, and the Owl is able to answer the first one. He does have Doomsayer coin Frost Nova coming out pretty soon to be able to clear the board, so just waiting for that seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. And yeah, I like what you said. I do like keeping one Doomsayer, maybe not the second. Oh, we see a Bear Trap here. That's a card that probably is not going to get activated this game until JJ is actually dead, if it gets activated.
Yeah, definitely not the greatest against Freeze Mage. Leok putting in some work here, honestly, a lot better than Misha because it gains 3 extra damage in this situation.
Yeah, it gets the damage this turn and next, you know, immediately here, kind of trying to push through the ice barrier.
All right, he has to be Frost Nova Doomsayering here. The second Doomsayer keep working out very well for him since he was able to pick up that Frost Nova. Going to be able to clear the board. And Coleman doesn't look like he's in that bad of a spot anymore. He's got Scientist, Acolyte of Pain coming down next turn for some decent board presence. Yeah,
would you just play Haunted Creeper here? Just to make sure that you keep something going next turn?
You know, you might have to. You might have to. Yeah. You're definitely hero powering for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, if it, let's say this was a piloted Shredder, would you pilot a Shredder here? I mean, like, does it cost you hero power? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to spend a hero power. And also, like, piloted Shredder's body is just so annoying for Freeze Mage to deal with, whereas Haunted Creeper, it's getting in 1 or 2 damage, and that's what the card does. So, like, shut it down is generally okay, but at the same time, you know your opponent's probably developing behind their Doomsayer. They're playing something like Acolyte of Pain or Scientist or what have you. So getting the Bear Trap out just to fluff freezing, I kind of like that as well, because if they develop 2 minions, for example, they're going to freeze one, so they can attack with the other one. Well, then all of a sudden, you got a bear now.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier with Duplicate, but we can talk about with freezing too. It can be a liability in this matchup sometimes, you know, and this is exactly what's going to happen. Like you said, he's going to make 2 minions, and Bear Trap might actually get triggered here, but if they ever get to get like an antique heal bot in play and then attack into a freezing trap, that's actually pretty good for them sometimes. But you're probably losing that game anyway from the Hunter side if that kind of stuff's going on.
Yeah, definitely. So how can he set up his board state best for Dr. Boom coming down next turn?
Maybe just like Haunted Creeper, Glaive Zuka, Hero Power, but I mean...
Oh yeah, all to the face for sure.
Yeah.
No question. And now, I think we're going to see... Oh, he's going to bluff the freezing here, make the trade on the Scientist to try and freezing the Acolyte of Pain.
Yeah, again, we've seen JJ make some pretty deeply thought out plays in these games, you know, and he knows that Bear Trap is probably the last trap on Coleman's mind. Well, maybe Misdirection is, but Bear Trap has got to be one of the last traps on his mind.
Yeah, I definitely think about Snipe more than I think about Bear Trap when I play Hearthstone.
Yeah.
So...
especially since you're on Archon. You Archon boys love Snipe.
Yeah, they all do. So the draw from the Acolyte first, and then probably going to develop another Acolyte, and he looks like he is swinging face. The freezing trap buff going to cost him here. Are going to work out successfully here as Bear Trap's able to get triggered against a deck that you would not normally think Bear Trap would ever get triggered against.
You know, I didn't think we'd see Ironfur Grizzly like ever show up in tournament play, but it is going to show up a little bit here and there with Bear Trap being a card.
Yeah, and Coleman seemed like he had the game pretty much under control now. He drew 2 Ice Lances, which was pretty weak, but now he's got a lot of pressure coming at him. That 3 damage might actually make a difference here.
Now, if you're JJ, do you just push all of this damage in Dr. Boom here and maybe just try to get an easy win from this spot? Or do you start trying to like control some of his draws here?
Oh, you don't control his draws at all. You just go all face. You gotta kill him.
Yeah. Smork value. I mean, Smork 101.
Yeah, he's gonna get draws out of them either way. Might as well not give him health and draws out of them, because if you're trading into the Acolyte of Pains instead of the Acolyte of Pains trading into you, you're essentially giving him 6 extra life. And I give him 6 extra life. He's getting the card draw anyway.
All right, so if you're on Coleman's side, yeah, how do you get out of this? You do have a Flame Strike to kind of clean up a little bit here, but these boom bots are gonna do some damage. You might draw some extra cards here. The rest of your hand is kind of bad. It's not amazing from here.
Not looking the greatest. It looks like he's going to ping the Acolyte to try and find some better options. He's got Ice Lance on the Dr. Boom, which can slow that damage down for a few turns. Yeah, Blizzard, 1 mana off.
Yeah, it picks up a Blizzard too, so at least like if he survives through this, which, you know, he has an ice block if he wants to get that down. If he survives these turns, maybe he can find a way, you know, at a high enough life total where he's not just always checked by the hero power. He can maybe find a way to start dealing this board of Blizzard in Flame Strike, but...
Oh, the high main comes to the hand now. It's going to be really hard to clear this board. This is a headache for the mage to deal with. All these death rattles, all these just big minions. This is the nightmare. You
know, this is a little unfair, too. The prototypical, like, aggro deck is also resilient against mass sweeping in a game. This isn't how these games are supposed to be. You know,
well,
if you play something like Flame Strike against an aggro deck, it should just be, like, it just kills everything. That's the way the games are supposed to be designed.
Yeah, well, Hunter... The high main, man. The king of all beasts.
Yeah, the law of high main. If you can play it, it's like turn 7 of Dr. Boom, turn 6 is the same way of high main. You can play this card, you put that guy into play.
Yeah, it's just so difficult to deal with that it usually gets in damage, and you're looking to get in damage as a Hunter player. So Coleman's got to be pretty afraid that he's getting popped soon. How do you win even if you get popped? He doesn't have enough mana to play Alexstrasza, so he needs to be able to stall for 1 more turn at least, and then he could potentially Alex his opponent and kill him.
He needs these 2 boom bots to hit his Acolytes for 1, but instead
they're
going to go for 7 to the face, and that is disastrous for Coleman there.
Yeah,
not only not pick up extra cards. Yeah. Oh, that's going to cost him a full turn as well. Yeah. Now he gets to pick off these 2 1/1s here and draw some extra cards, but
he needs like Frost Nova heal bot to start coming back into this game because he's getting popped this turn for sure. You know, at 1 health.
Yeah, what JJ can do here is he can use his hero power and then his kill command to make sure that Coleman is always at 1, and that's way better than popping him at 3. You know, the fact that his hero power will be lethal every turn.
Unless a heal bot shows up. He's going to roll Animal Companion, see if he can do it without using the kill command.
Yeah, see if he gets... I mean, I actually think he should contact Blizzard. It seems that his Animal Companion was bugged there. He got a Misha instead of a Huffer. What is this?
He got a Leok earlier, too. He's just...
Yeah. Well, it was actually good, dude.
Yeah. It was good there, but it wasn't Huffer good.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah. There's only 3 minions, you know, with the Leok. If there's 4, then it's, like, arguably better in some ways, but...
Nothing's better than Huffer.
Yeah, you're right. I was trying to think of it. I said arguably, and then I was like, I don't have a leg to stand on here.
Is he thinking about not popping him here? He's afraid of the Alexstrasza comeback potential.
Yeah,
but...
that's probably something that's going to... I mean, we've seen JJ play these games very well, so...
Yeah, he's afraid of, like, field bot and stuff. Yeah, you have to pop here. There's just... You gotta force him to have it.
Yeah, are you going to beat an Alexstrasza, you know, anyway, if he's at 3 and he goes... You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it's just something you just have to do. If you don't pop him there and he plays Alexstrasza, I think you're in a pretty bad spot.
He has 2 draws more to try and find exactly Healbot Frostnova. Or actually, just Healbot might be enough to do it with the Frostbolt and the Ice Lance. And then the Misha comes in for 4 and the Hero Power for 2 more. But then he's still pretty low.
What to do?
We'll see. It's definitely a difficult road for Coleman to get out of this game successfully.
Yeah, he does get to draw a lot of extra cards this turn. All right, there's a Blizzard picked up.
Doesn't save him.
Right.
With an Ice Block, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he picks up Ice Block, yeah. Then he's, again, he still has to find an anti-heal bot and answer this board. This is a tall order for Coleman to do in the next couple turns.
Time runs out on me.
Yeah. I don't see it. Yeah, there's nothing here. He's trying to find some
well, there's a heal bot. You needed to be heal bot Frostnova? No, you still don't have enough mana.
Yeah. He's just drawing the rest of his deck.
And there goes an Emperor as well. So Freeze Mage kind of letting Coleman down here.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's been so out of the meta and people haven't really been playing it too much, is that it can be pretty difficult to win with in the current meta. It has a lot of times where you can get kind of burned, even by like the Hunter deck. A lot of the minions are just resilient now. They have Loatheb, they have Shredders, they have Highmane, they have Owls. It's not as good of a matchup as it used to be.
Now, as we talked about, deck seems teched for patrons. You just have to queue it a 3rd time, right?
Yeah. He's definitely teched it for patrons. He's probably going to queue it up for the 3rd time, and for his sake, hopefully he gets the win against the Patron Warrior. Now we see Coleman's lineup is Warrior, Mage, and then Warrior, Warlock, and a Mage teched for Patron. So I have to imagine his other decks are Control Warrior and Handlock, and he's just trying to beat Patron 3 times, and that's the whole plan with the lineup.
And just, you know, find victories in the other matchups somehow. Yeah.
So I still think the series is anyone's game just looking at the lineups. Looking at what the classes are, I still think he's got a plan here. His plan is obviously 3-0 Patron Warrior, and Patron Warrior's left. Well, Warrior's left. We don't know if it's Patron or not. If it is Patron, then it's definitely anybody's game. Patron Warrior is one of those decks that can get a win against anything, but it's very, very hard to play those games that are against your hard counters. There's a lot of math involved. There's a lot of like 1-turn windows that you have to try and set up that you have a % chance to win that's usually pretty low. So it's going to be on Jacob's Jacob's hands now to try and like play Patron Warrior at the high enough level to beat counter decks with it.
Yeah, no, you were talking about his lineup, how you expect something when you see like Freeze Mage to maybe be playing Handlock and Control Warrior in those 3 decks. Do you like seeing a lineup that, you know, has a lineup like that where it's, if he's just trying to get Patron Warrior, that's fine, but that lineup could be pretty weak to Druid, you know, in some ways too. So how do you feel about that?
I think it's fine to just let a class completely beat you in Conquest. Conquest is kind of like that, where you can just completely ignore one matchup because they still need to win with all 3 of their decks. Right. So I think it's totally fine. And we are seeing Coleman going with the Mage for the 3rd time, and JJ coming out with the Warrior, which is the Patron Warrior. So it could still be anybody's game, honestly. The classes are set up here.
You know, I want to see Coleman win a game, not just so we get more Hearthstone. I just want to see what other decks he's playing.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. See how he's teched to be able to deal with Patron.
Yeah.
If that even is his plan. Like, I'm just going off assumptions of what I...
Right. Yeah, we don't know this for sure, of course.
he keeps the Doomsayer again. He's really likes keeping the Doomsayer, and he mulligans into the Flame Strike. Having Flame Strike early against Patron Warrior, obviously super important, because one of the ways Patron Warrior wins is just making patrons really quick and you not having a way to deal with them.
Yeah, now if you're on the patron side, I've heard that there's like 2 avenues for victory in this matchup. You make a bunch of patrons and hope they don't have it, or you save up if you have like a good Emperor draw for that one big turn to pop them and put them at like 1 and like hopefully get into fatigue. And there's something to be said here too with seeing him play Arcane Intellect on 3, which I think is fine. But there's a strategy in this matchup that I've seen employed by both players on both sides of the matchup of not actually drawing extra cards this matchup, like cycling Battle Rage for 1. Things like that, like not drawing a ton of extra cards, because this can go to fatigue pretty often.
Yeah, definitely. There's I don't know if you don't start cycling cards this early, but there's definitely a point in the game where when your hand gets to a point where you're like, all right, these are the resources I need to win the game. This deals with this threat, this deals with this threat.
Right.
I don't need any more cards, and then they stop drawing at that point. But you're going to need those key cards to be able to deal with things in the beginning. One of them for the patron side is Execute. You definitely need to have both of your Executes and to be able to deal with Alexstrasza and Antonidas and such.
Yeah, it's like so awesome how perfectly built the deck is to kind of deal with that. You know, they have 2 real threats and you have 2 Executes in your deck. So it's all about, you know, can someone get one around the other? You know, someone have more Executes than he has threats, etc. Or does he get a threat without an Execute going on too?
Coleman is now pinging off his own Blood Mage Thanos because the secret pulled is Duplicate, and he has to save Duplicate for Archmage Antonidas in this matchup. That
play might look weird for some people, or hey, he just wanted to cycle a card, but no, he's actually playing around his own secret here.
Yeah, because the Mad Scientist, you can't control what secret comes out, and in this matchup specifically, duplicating the Antonidas or duplicating the Alexstrasza is how he's going to win the game, because the matchup goes into fatigue, and your opponent simply does not have the cards to deal with 3 Archmage Antonidases. So that's his win condition right now, and he's setting up to build towards it. But
Archmage Antonidas I.
yeah. The downside is now he can't play like Scientist or anything like that until that turn 7 when he's able to play the Archmage.
It's so awkward that he pulls out the 5th secret from his deck here and is gonna have to play really weird this card. You know, he can't play his Mad Scientist like you said. It's like gonna be weird that he can't even play his Doomsayer unless he has to. So, you know, if JJ gets the read off of that play, like why would he just kill his own Blood Mage Thanos there? Oh, that's a reason why. You know,
he's seen the duplicate from the earlier game, so he can probably make the read here.
Yeah, so he could figure that out, and then he could try to set up a board state, which looks like he might be trying to do here. He has Inner Rage, he has Grim Patron, has a Death Spite ready to go. That he gets to duplicate Doomsayers, there's a chance that he can, you know, get one up on him.
Yeah, he's trying to set up patrons, I guess, earlier to play around the duplicate, like you said. Just get the presence so that Coleman can't do the plan that he's trying to do. He's thinking about playing the Doomsayer, but he's going to stick to his plan here. Going to just pass, not play any minions to make sure the duplicate can land on the Archmage Antonidas. Now are we going to see the patrons come out? It's very aggressive. You know Flame Strike can't come down. Yeah, he's going with the aggression line here.
Yeah, I like this play from JJ. You know, we talked about this is one of the ways to win this matchup. If you just can somehow get unanswered patrons here, which, I mean, he's going into 6 mana. Blizzard not going to be amazing against this board. He can't play Flame Strike. This is a way you can steal a game.
Yeah, definitely. Coleman has the Frost Nova to be able to just stall out the patrons for a turn, but that's going to allow JJ to get a pretty solid Battle Rage off. He can slam one of his own minions and then Battle Rage and draw 3 cards.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he does make that play, like how many cards deep into his deck he wants to go, because he's got 21 cards left right now. Coleman has 15, so Coleman's 6 cards ahead of him. Because there's a chance that, you know, if this wave of patrons doesn't win, that you're going to see JJ slow way down and just armor up every turn for the rest of the game. So when they get to fatigue, he's at a way higher life total.
And we see Coleman holding back on the Doomsayer again, just making sure he can land the duplicate on the Archmage Antonidas. And now we get to see how many cards does JJ want to draw? How interested in the fatigue option is he at this point in the game?
Yeah, I gotta believe he's at least thinking about it. It's entered his mind. I mean, we've seen him play. We've seen both these players play great in this matchup, actually. I mean, they've both been playing around everything from each other. And he is actually going to go for the slam thing, and he's gonna go deep into his deck here. Again, he's way behind in cards drawn this game, Coleman. So I think it's fine.
Yeah, he's still behind in cards drawn. He's still 2 cards behind. He runs 2 Loot Hoarders in his patron build, though.
Wow,
that's gonna catch him up in cards.
Yeah, I mean, That's a liability in this matchup, is for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We don't know what he's cut exactly. Maybe he's cut the Gnomish Inventors, but that is a lot of card draw coming out. He is going very aggressive with it. I think he's just coming to the understanding that I can't beat Archmage Duplicate, so let's kill him before that becomes a thing.
Yeah,
so I kind of
mean,
like the line he's taking.
Yeah, he also picks up an Armor Smith that's actually a pretty important minion in this matchup, believe it or not. I know it doesn't seem like it to some people, you know, it's not an aggressive matchup, but I've heard that Armor Smith is one of the reasons this deck is actually pretty good against Freeze Mage. You know, if you can gain 5 or 6 armor off this card, that is a ton. In this matchup, that could be the difference between winning and losing. If you could cancel out a Fireball with Armor Smith.
Yeah, it gets pretty crazy how much armor you can gain off Armor Smith. Especially if you can get some of the Whirlwinds effects. I've seen upwards of 30 armor gained in 1 turn by a Patron Warrior player, and that is no joke. And that allows the Patron Warrior to be able to take the the match into fatigue.
Yeah, and so he's gonna play an Emperor here. This isn't the greatest Emperor hand I've ever seen, but I think it's just gonna be fine. I mean, it's hard to pass this up in this spot because Coleman has to answer it. He can't let this sit around. This also gives you, you know, the best opportunity to get one of those big turns right before fatigue. Because like one of the plans the Warrior deck has to execute from this spot, if they think the game's going to go to a spot, is to try to get a big Frothing Berserker turn right before fatigue, to get him to 1 and pop an Ice Block. And there's nothing the Freeze Mage player can do about that.
I like the Emperor coming down, especially too, because it just prevents Coleman from playing Antonidas just even longer. So Coleman can't just start stacking up those Antonidas with the duplicate. Makes Coleman have to be unable to play any of the minions in his hand. So the Scientist is still sitting there in his hand because every single turn, JJ's just been forcing him to be unable to play that card.
JJ has actually now pulled ahead in the cards. He's got 12 left, while Coleman has 13. So he's actually a card ahead of him now.
Yeah, he's hesitating on that Loot Hoarder. He doesn't know if he wants to play it or not.
This matchup is so intense. With how just not playing your cards is correct most of the time, or some of the time.
Yeah, he's going out with the Loot Hoarder, though. He hesitated a lot on it. He wasn't sure if he wanted to do it, but he's really set on just killing Coleman before Coleman's able to initiate the Antonidas duplicate.
Also, I mean, he's seen that Coleman has been resigned to the fact that he needs to draw cards this game as well. Like, he hasn't seen Coleman just do a lot of, like, passing. So, you know, maybe you may be thinking Coleman is just up on drawing cards this matchup, in this game as well.
I have to imagine we see Antonidas come down this turn.
Right.
It has to be. Like, it's a huge risk because you could be getting popped here and you have no heal in your hand. Because he's been unable to draw cards too many times. We see him go the Ice Lance first, then Antonidas to prevent himself from overdrawing the Antonidas that he gets off duplicate.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how that works.
Wow, that looks like a weird play. You know, you're going to Ice Lance before Antonidas, and this has to signal to JJ that this is 100% due. I mean, like, he just has to know now. Yeah. If he didn't know ahead of time, or if he forgot somehow, you know, that play has to 100% signal.
Yeah. Coleman can't afford to overdraw the card he draws off the top of his deck because he's going to need heals. He's going to need ways to bring himself up from 1 life. Also,
if he loses Alexstrasza, it's a big deal. I mean, that card is either going to win him the game by healing him or win him the game by putting JJ in a position where Fireball is lethal.
Yep. So now in JJ's position here, he has to kill it, right? He can't just leave that up. So what's the best way for him to kill it? He could. Looks like he's going to charge patrons into it, maybe?
Is he trying to pop him here? Does he have enough to do this?
Yeah, he might just be ignoring it and popping him.
I mean, he is at 36. Maybe he believes that he can get in.
Pop him and gain a lot of armor and then execute it at the end of it.
Yeah,
so,
this is actually... Yeah, I like this from JJ.
Yeah, that's a good find. And so much armor gain, too.
It looks like he might not have been able to sequence up all the things he wanted to this turn. This is a problem with Grim Patron. You need to finish your turns in time. Yeah. This might be the most balanced part of the deck, is the fact that it's hard to finish your turns with this deck.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look like he had enough to pop him at the end of that. He only had 12, 13 damage. I didn't see a way to pop him, so I was curious if he was able to find one. That would have been impressive. But there's no pop there. But at the same time, a lot of pressure on the board. Flame Strike comes down the second one. So both Grim Patrons are now gone for JJ. And Coleman, now that he doesn't have to worry about the duplicate, he's already gotten the Archmages. He can now finally play the Scientist, try and pull a secret from his deck. Yeah, since the mulligan, that Scientist has been stuck there because the first Scientist pulled the dupe.
That is the longest uncast mad scientist I have ever seen in my life. Also,
And,
that's a Warsong commander down for JJ as well. So he has
without
to
a
be
pop, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
like the last. Go ahead.
That's like really, really bad in this matchup because you need to be able to pop them the first time and then they heal, and then you have to pop them immediately the second time before they can clear your board and re-up the second ice block. Otherwise, you just simply don't have enough sources of damage to kill them, since all you have is weapons and Warsong for your sources of direct damage.
He's gonna have to be very careful with the contents that are left in his deck here, just to make sure that he actually has enough damage to pop a block and get it at the right life total here too, to get him down to like 1 or something. He's gonna use Fiery Oryx to keep getting him low. You know, and Alex Strauss is added to Coleman's hand here too, and he's got an Emperor now. So in his hand, he has Emperor, double Archmage Antonidas, and Alex Straza. Does he have time to get one of these Emperors, you know, triggers to really alleviate all the pressure of mana he's got in his hand?
Without any heals, it's like really sketchy. If he had any sort of heal, he could definitely slam any of these offensive options and be totally fine, because then he can just clear the board and ice block up and then heal afterwards and be fine. Actually, he has Alex Straza, so there's some potential to it, but Alex Straza is not the kind of heal you want because you can't clear the board while healing with it.
Yeah, I mean, JJ's showing 6, right? And we've seen he only has 2 cards up in his hand. We've seen 2 patrons. So there's a chance you just don't get popped this turn, right? If you just make the, yeah. I don't hate this play at all. He's gonna get this Emperor into play.
Yeah.
And keep himself from being popped. I kind of like this. And you don't mind if these Acolyte of Pains run into your Emperor and then the Fiery Oryx finishes it off. That puts JJ to 6 cards left in his deck. And you're at 10.
Yeah, the Acolyte of Pains were a pretty big risk, but he feels like because of the duplicated Antonidas, he has to be pushing for the lethal. So he has to be extending all of the damage he can, and at the end of the day, Acolyte of Pain ends up being some of the damage he wants to be pressuring with.
And it seems that, you know, he starts to realize this, that the fatigue battle, that's out the door. You know, he can maybe get to that battle if it gets there. He needs to draw extra cards off Acolyte here, because he needs to make something happen over the next turn or two. Because the fact that there's 2 Archmage Antonidases in Coleman's hand and an Emperor just went off, that is really scary.
Yeah, the value game is just no longer an option at this point.
Yeah. This game just accelerated by a very large margin. Right, and there's the last execute, right?
No, he's got 1 execute in his hand.
Okay. Oh, it's the one's 0 in his hand. Sorry.
He was able to kill the first Archmage Antonidas with just patron combos.
Yeah, just the patron combos. I thought he'd executed it. I was looking at Coleman's hand and counting up damage.
Yeah, he's got.
There's a lot of math in Coleman's hand.
Yeah, the different ways he can use these Archmage Antonidases for sure. Card count wise, Coleman has 9 cards left and JJ has 6. Antonidas number 2 coming down. Warsong Commander picked up from JJ, so he is going to be able to potentially pop Coleman, but only once. And then...
Yeah, he's going to be able to pop him, but then there's going to be an Alex Straza behind this.
So, like, is it even worth at that point to pop your opponent? Because how does he finish him after that? All he has left is Fireworks. Maybe he just has to hope that both Healbot and Alex Straza are bottom 8 in Coleman's deck.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually one of his best chances to win here, is just hope and pray that Coleman is going to be, you know, screwed over by his own deck here. The cards that he needs, he just doesn't have.
Wait, can he even actually pop him? He's only got 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, he can exactly pop him, yes.
Yeah.
But he pops him at a pretty high life total. You can pop him at 3.
Yeah, I mean,
War Axe potentially.
Maybe find the War Axe, yeah.
But so Coleman's Alex got discounted by Emperor, and the Ice Block got discounted by Emperor, so that he can Alex himself up and Ice Block again, and then heal bot after that if he gets popped.
That's a pretty solid turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think JJ at this point is realizing what a tall task it's going to be for him to win from this spot. And he's trying to figure out any way possible from... Now, if you're Coleman, what do you do this turn? Do you just start...
Just fireball away.
Yeah. You just start spamming fireballs? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's my plan. Can you beat it? Fireball you a million times.
Yeah, he's just got 17, 18 damage a turn. And he's just saying, can you deal with it? If not, I win. And I don't know if JJ can actually deal with it. And even if JJ can kill all 3 Antonitis, JJ will lose in fatigue first.
Yeah, because Coleman will be able to do enough damage that fatigue will actually be relevant more for JJ since he's going to be getting there first.
Mm-hmm. All right, JJ's plan maybe to try and like pop him here while killing the Antonitis, and then maybe Coleman can't heal and deal with both of the Frothing Berserkers now that there's 2 of them. Because that's a lot more of a threat than just 1 Frothing Berserker, which could simply die to a Fireball or something. Now there'll be 3 important things to kill on the field.
Yeah, because the execute costs 0, so he can do something like Warsong, Frothing, Inner Rage, Whirlwind, Execute, and is that enough to pop him and kill off Antonitis in the same turn?
We get 8 damage from the Whirlwind, it applies to 2 targets, and then we get 4 damage from the Inner Rage, so 12, and then 2 base damage starting from each Frothing, and you only have to go through 18, so yeah, he can definitely pop him here, and he can use the 0 mana Execute to clear the Antonitis if he wants. So yeah, he's all in here. This is the last stand for JJ. And we got to see if Coleman's able to kill all of the Frothing Berserkers and Pain. He saves the War Axe charge, keeps him popped at 7. Instead of committing the War Axe charge and popping him a little bit lower.
What does keeping him at 7 do here?
The Frothing Berserker has to stick.
Right.
That's what he's hoping for.
Yeah, the Frothing Berserker has to stick for you to win anyway, right? Like
and Frost Nova is off the top is going to shut that down for sure. You get Frost Nova, Ice Block, and then start picking away things.
He knows you
can use what?
You can even use an Ice Lance here if you really wanted to, just to be sure and take out one of these Frothing Berserkers, because it's not necessarily something that he needs to win the game since he has another Antonitis and an Alexstrasza in his hand.
Yeah.
That's it. If he wants to go down this route.
Yeah, I like it. Definitely extra safe here, and you can never be too safe.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the situation, you're down 2-0 in this match, and you need to win this game to be alive. And he said, he might have a chance to actually claw back into this matchup, depending on what Warlock deck he has and what Warrior deck he has.
Yeah, he definitely looks like he's geared his lineup to deal with Patron and 3-0 victory on Patron, and it seemed like he had a lot of experience in that matchup with choosing when to draw cards, holding the duplicate, and all that sort of stuff, just making sure it hit the Antonitis. Very well played from both sides, honestly. That was a pretty solid game.
Yeah, absolutely. So you think Coleman's got him right where he wants him after the 2 games? He gets to play against Patron 3 times.
I think that's what his plan was from the beginning. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it. There's no way you bring that sort of Freeze Mage without having that kind of plan in mind. So I definitely think that's his plan going into the tournament, and it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to do it against one of the decks that everyone considers the most OP deck.
Yeah, it's... Man, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm not a big fan of Patron. I would like to see something done about the deck. Possibly just fix Warsong Commander. That seems to be, the easiest and most ubiquitous choice from everyone is to fix that card. But I don't think the deck is insanely bad for the game. I just think from a design point, it's bad. Players, there's certain decks you just can't play in tournament settings because of the fact that Patron is there and everyone's playing it. And I think that's, bad for the game. Otherwise, the deck is pretty hard to play. You have to play it well. You have to finish your turns in time. That could actually be a problem. I mean, we've seen a lot of players lose games because, they try to get a turn done, but they started 10 seconds too late.
Sure. Yeah, definitely it's sometimes hard to make all the turn times. It's hard to play the deck 100% optimally, which affects its total win rate a lot. But it is crazy high in the win rate, so maybe they'll be doing something to change it. But at the same time, there's people like Coleman that their lineups can be designed to just 3-0 Patron Warrior, and we've seen it. If that is his lineup, and he made it here through 10 rounds of Swiss with that being his lineup, it's obviously a consistent strategy. So maybe the deck's not so broken.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to the NA qualifiers for BlizzCon. I think the guy's name was Nas or Naas or something like that. He had a lineup that was geared to beat Patron as well. He had acidic swamp oozes in almost all of his decks. He had Harrison Jones stuff, and yeah, I mean, we've seen players have this kind of lineup before, and this is what he wanted. This is Demon Handlock. Yeah, this is a matchup that can definitely go into Coleman's favor.
Yeah, we've seen players, like you mentioned, Nias from the BlizzCon World Championship qualifiers. He made it through to the Americas Championship, and he had Dragon Priest and other decks that do kind of alright against Handlock, and then against Patron Warrior, and then he kind of tweaked him a little bit more, and it ended up being really solid for him. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll start seeing this happen a lot more often, and people will be playing lineups that counter Patron, and then people will be too scared to bring Patron, and then
I think, you know, the chance of something happening to it really depends on what happens at BlizzCon. And, you know, if it's just patron on patron on patron the entire time, you know, that maybe something happens. But, I mean, we're starting to see decks that can compete with it. You know, Druid is becoming so popular, and it's doing well. And then I've been seeing a lot of Handlock lately. I don't know about you, but this deck is getting very popular.
Yeah, I've been seeing it so much that if you watched my recent tournaments, I've had double Big Game Hunter in every deck. It's totally a popular deck.
So before the stream started, I actually talked to Firebat about the match that he played this morning that I watched, and I asked him about his lineup, which was very strange if you just take a look at his lineup in a vacuum. And I was like, "Were you just gearing to beat Handlock?" And you were like, "Yep, double BGH in every deck."
Mortal Coil coming down, taking care of the Loot Hoarder. Loot Hoarder, kind of an interesting card in Patron. You've seen it come in and out before, and Mortal Coil is going to clean that up pretty quickly for Coleman. But you can't tap here.
I know you've played a decent bit of Patron in your deck. And what are the reasons to have Loot Hoarder and to not have Loot Hoarder? Is there a specific matchup you like it for, or like just extra draw density? What is it for? You don't like the 4-drop in Gnomish Inventor because it seemed like he didn't have that, so they saw like his entire deck almost last game.
Yeah, he didn't have the Gnomish Inventors. He had Loot Hoarders instead, and I think he was playing the Dread Corsair. So this list kind of focuses more on tempo to help you beat out Druid and some of the other tempo-based matchups, where you can get that 2-drop down early, and it can get in some chip damage or force them to hero power. Just contest the Piloted Shredder's drop as well. So then your Despite turn 4, the Loot Hoarder trades into the 2-drop that comes off Piloted Shredder, and you can kind of not fall as far behind.
Yeah, I like that reasoning a lot. You know, if that's going to be one of the matchups that you're going to be playing against a lot in tournament settings, and it's one that people actually like. You know, they say Druid is slightly favored.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty solid tech for those matchups. He's going to go with the Tempo Frothing here. He has the Execute to protect it, so I kind of like it. If your opponent only has one big threat and you're able to just execute the big threat and then move on with the rest of the game, you're going to be set up pretty far ahead.
Yeah, plus, you know, you got Slam in your hand if that's the way you want to do it, so you can cycle through your deck a little bit more. You're probably going to be Slam executing, you know, a lot of the 4-drops that are coming out of Coleman's deck anyway this turn, so we might as well get some extra value from it, like this play of Frothing Berserker.
Yeah, I've done the Tempo Frothing Berserker play before, a lot of times only when I have the Execute to defend it against the first big threat. And it gets in some chip damage, which can help you win the game, but generally your win condition in this game is 1 Warsong, 1 Frothing Berserker, and 1 Whirlwind effect is really all you need. So any of the other minions you can use just to slow down your opponent from getting those 8/8s down and hitting you in the face with them. So I really like the play of just getting it out there, helping deal with the first few threats of Coleman.
Yeah, and I like that, you know, Coleman just plays Twilight Drake here instead of like Mountain Giant, because, you know, obviously you would much rather have your Drake eat and execute here. It's kind of trying to like maybe bait this out a little bit.
He's developing the weapon immediately, and that's quite a hefty amount of damage, honestly, in play already.
Yeah.
And he's setting up to be able to Battle Rage as soon as possible. So next turn even, he could play Armor Smith, swing with the Despite, and then Battle Rage already before any AoE clears can come down while he still has a bunch of minions in play, and he took damage from the Twilight Drake to activate his own Battle Rage. Pretty heads-up play by JJ there, just getting ready to draw 3 cards off this Battle Rage and cycle towards his win conditions.
Yeah, because I gotta believe if he draws a Patron, there's almost no way he's gonna like go off of Patron, Inner Rage, and his Despite this turn, because you just lose so hard to Hellfire from that spot. And, you know, you've kind of just like, as you said earlier, just like blown your load. You don't really have a whole lot behind this, but, you know, getting deeper into your deck. And I do like taunting up this Mountain Giant here. You know, if you want to swing with this Despite here this turn, there's going to be a cost for you. You're gonna take a little bit of damage for it.
Yeah. It's a lot of damage that Frothing Berserker could potentially do, or you can just use it to clear off the Mountain Giants. Generally speaking, when you're playing against Handlock, they only have like their first 2 threats. Just like matter of statistics of drawing all of the Giants and Drakes and whatnot. They usually have 2. And if you can clear the first 2, they generally lay off the pressure for a long time, and that's really what Patron Warrior wants. They want to get rid of all the pressure. So the Tempo Frothing allows him to have the option to take down this Giant without using too many resources, and still be able to just like slow down the Handlock and push into the later stages of the game where he has more mana to actually do his combos. You're going to see the double slam.
Yeah, the double slam and then take another 8 to the face here.
Oh man, is he gonna whirlwind? No, he's probably just gonna use the inner rage.
Yeah. Yeah, if he's gonna... Yeah, he's gonna be able to dig deep
battle
back here. Yeah.
He's got to find the Warsong Commander. He really needs to find the Warsong Commander. 9 damage is putting Coleman in, or 10 damage actually.
Yeah.
Coleman's actually able to play Molten Giants already. That is a lot of pressure.
Yeah, Coleman, you know, you talked about usually they only have 1, maybe 2 of the threats. Coleman had all of them, pretty much. I mean,
he had all the red giants and all the white giants. He had all the Moltens and Mountains and Drake and Voidcaller, like the whole thing.
The whole shebang. He just got every one of them here, and being at 13, you know, JJ, he's trying to set himself up for like kind of the cheapo steal a win here, like get the quick one out. But I mean, Coleman, he's got everything.
Well, the one thing he doesn't have is taunt givers, though.
Right. Yeah, he already used one of his taunt givers, so.
He's got to be like Hellfire double Molten here or something. He's got to kill the Frothing Berserker. And the question is, do you want to YOLO tap or not?
Well, the thing is, if you Hellfire double Molten here, that actually can threaten lethal. It's JJ next turn.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking he has to be doing. He's just go on the offensive since he doesn't have any defensive cards. His opponent's going to be pretty hard-pressed to kill him. Like, JJ can't really do too much damage on only 7 mana. Patron Warrior is really limited by the amount of mana they have. So he's going to say he's safe enough to tap.
Yeah, he has an antique heal bot behind this as well if he wants.
He needs to find a taunt giver, though. If he doesn't find a taunt giver soon, he is in dire straits.
Now, when you see that kind of play, and if you're worried about the fact that he might not have a taunt giver, is there anything to say about just to play Deathbite and just go upstairs here and just see if it can steal the game? Is that something you could ever do?
I think he's gonna have to. I don't see any better lines in his hand right now. Like, he shield blocked for something maybe a little bit better, but you have to shield block because you're afraid of dying, right? There's just so many sources of damage Handlock could have. Even Defender of Argus killed you if you didn't shield block there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even just Defender was lethal here. So this is what I got. Hit you for 4, push you to 4.
I mean, it's all you got. It's all you got.
Yeah.
And the heal bot's gonna say no way, but
yeah. He also picks up Jiraxxus too. If this game goes a few more turns, he can, you know, heal himself up a little bit more with that as well.
If Coleman only has the heal bot, then the maximum amount of damage out of the hand right now is only 4 because he only has Deathbite. But if JJ picks up Warsong Commander, that 4 damage suddenly turns into 10.
Yeah, if he does have a Patron, he has a Whirlwind, he's got some stuff set up. Yeah, but the problem is he's on a very quick clock here from Coleman. Coleman got to add 16 power to his board last turn for the low cost of 0 mana.
Yeah, this is a pretty ridiculous swing turn, and that was the cost of being so risky with the Frothing Berserker. But in bad matchups, sometimes you have to do it. And Coleman's just kind of evaluating here: can he afford to tap? And he's got to be weary of the 10 possible damage from JJ. So I don't think he's gonna tap.
Yeah, just safe.
Because just Warsong Patron kills you.
Yeah, I like even not playing Agent Watcher here. Oh wow, he drew the Warsong Commander.
Drew the Warsong. Thank God he didn't tap. That could have been horrible.
I actually like not playing Watcher here because like if something crazy happens and all your minions cleared, this game goes on. It keeps the Mountain Giant as a threat in your hand. You know, it like makes it easier to play, so you can play Mountain Giant plus something in a turn.
And it makes the potential of frothing a little bit less scary.
Right. Giving him a little less food. Alright, so is there anything JJ can do here? You know, Unstable can soak up some damage.
Yeah, I mean, he could swing at the heal bot to try and make the Unstable soak up 8. That's a line, but he's going to be met by Coin Jiraxxus. Taking down the Unstable Ghoul, setting up lethal. So, yeah, but it looks like he's probably going to have to play like Armor Smith, Unstable Ghoul, and then swing at the 3/3.
Excuse me.
It seems like so bad. It seems just like a play to stay alive. I don't see any really good plays to like win the game next turn.
Yeah, there's 2 different kinds of playing in the situation. There's playing not to die, and there's playing to win. But you know, what can JJ really do that actually gets him into winning this game? You know, Whirlwind does give him a little more life here.
Yeah, I mean he's at 13.
Oh, he's gonna actually scoop it up here.
Yeah, he needed to kill the heal bot to have and dream that the giant runs into the.
Yeah. It's possible that he actually knew he needed to do that, and he just ran out of time to finish his turn.
Yeah, there's like even if he does that though, he's in the same position next turn. Like he doesn't set up himself with a way to win the game in the following turn, and there is no possible way to set up to win the game in the following turn. He just spent the whole turn thinking about that. and then ran out of time and then didn't do the stay alive play. But the stay alive play loses 100% of the time.
Yeah, you know, he had to find a way to stay alive that turn and maybe get Emperor Thaurissan into play and then have some lucky, like very lucky top decks to keep him in that game, yeah.
Even like if he was able to like not use the Despite that turn, he could set up lethal with the Patron Despite Swing Whirlwind. Okay, so he just needed to be able to figure out a way to hold the Despite on, but there's no way to hold the Despite on and prevent yourself from dying. So that's why he was like not swinging with the Despite there and trying to like do the Desperation Whirlwind and being like, I hope maybe.
And
2-2.
Yeah, and as we said, man, Coleman got him right where he wants him. It looks like we're getting the mirror here. It doesn't look like it's gonna be, because that's 2 inner rages. That would be interesting card choices for a control warrior.
All right, well, if you're in JJ's shoes right now, you're thinking, all right, he's played 2 decks that counter Patron really hard. I'm gonna guess the third deck's probably Control Warrior to counter Patron. So he might be in for a shocker when Coleman starts suddenly making Patrons on him.
Yeah, because that's the other thing too, is sometimes you're not sure exactly what deck your opponent's playing until the turn something big happens. And the turn they just like make a million Patrons, because Control Warrior decks, they can play very similar to Patron up until like turns 4 and 5.
Even past that, 4 is Deathspite for both decks, and then 5 is Sludge Belcher. That's like the only turn that really differentiates. So.
When you see the Sludge Belcher, you're like, oh, I need to start killing him fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I've even seen some like Control Warrior decks play like 1 Unstable Ghoul, and they can really go deep on the mind games and what deck they're playing for the first few turns.
Maybe Coleman's got like a Brawl or something in his Patron deck, and he feels like he's teched enough.
That would not surprise me with the way that his lineup's been constructed, and it seems to be. I am going to. I mean, Coleman came to this tournament with one sentence in mind: I am going to beat Grim Patron. You know, my decks are geared to do this, and I actually saw a lot of people in the Road to BlizzCon, like the NA stuff, having Brawl in their decks. You know, like in their Patron decks to kind of snipe the mirror. It also doesn't seem super terrible against some of the handlocks that can be rough. You know, the turn where they go giant taunt. You're just like, all right, Brawl you. Like, yeah,
definitely can be really strong against the handlocks. I've even seen it doing pretty well against Druid sometimes.
Oh, that's actually a really good point too. Yeah.
Like I've
never seen that game play out.
It's not been like super stellar, but sometimes after the combo's been used to like clear Patrons, and it starts getting into one of those grindy games, then like Ancient of Wars come out and whatnot, and then the Brawl comes down and takes out like an Ancient of War and a Bear and leaves up a 2/3 or something.
That's not an uncommon like occurrence in those games either. That's something that happens all the time when they make like the turn 5 Patrons or like the turn 6 Patrons. Sometimes you just have to use either a piece of the combo, or when they do it later, you just have to use combo to clear.
Yeah, it definitely is a matchup that can sometimes lead towards fatigue. We're going to see JJ here debating whether or not he wants to use this coin or save it for potential Patron plays.
Yeah, I think that's also, he's debating on whether to armor up or not as well, because we've seen people not armor up, to try to get their battle rages better. And anyone who knows anything about me, I'm a big advocate of just armoring up, damn it. I think there are some small corner cases where not armoring up there is correct and just letting them damage you to make your battle rages better, but in this matchup, I've seen so many people not armor up and then die to like exact damage when they have lethal next turn stuff. And then if you never draw that extra card off your battle rage, aren't you probably winning anyway? If you you have Deathspite and War Axe in your deck, you're gonna take damage somewhere. All right, rant over. Sorry.
Well, JJ's got the Emperor, and he's got a pretty sick hand with Emperor. He's got not only Patron, but he also has Whirlwind, Warsong Commander, and Frothing Berserker, so he can generate a lot of Patrons and a lot of damage with the Emperor procs.
So, I know you've talked a lot about this mirror match and like how it works out, and I know you always say one of the ways to win is someone makes a bunch of Patrons on 5, and just wins from there.
Sure.
But if you don't kill them and they get an Emperor off, then you're going to die to the Frothing Berserker back. I mean, there's so many intricate back and forths in this game, but aren't you a big favorite if you get to coin out Emperor in this matchup?
Depends what your hand is. You're going to need to be able to hit combo pieces with Emperor. If you're able to hit 3 combo pieces with Emperor in this matchup, it's huge. And currently, if JJ gets his Emperor out, he's hitting not 3 combo pieces, but 4 combo pieces with Emperor. So that just makes him so much closer to the huge OTK combos.
Yeah, 0 mana Whirlwinds seem to be like exactly stack once. It seems to be like the biggest thing for them, and 2 mana Warsong Commanders.
Yeah, if the combo pieces for the main super combo is just Patron, Whirlwind, Warsong, Frothing Berserker, if you're able to hit 3 or more of those combo pieces with Emperor, then you're at a huge lead in this matchup because your OTK combos are just a lot more realistic to happen. And if your opponent has Patrons in the field, that's just going to be generating so much more damage for you.
Yeah,
so Patrons become a liability.
Yeah, exactly. And we see JJ has that hand that you just mentioned. Plus, I mean, he has all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary. And where Coleman does not have too great of a hand at the moment compared to JJ, he still has the Acolyte in play, which is going to draw more resources, and he has the Deathblade, which is pretty core at being able to just push initiative on things. And he has 2 combo pieces as himself.
If you're JJ, you know, if you're, and since this Deathblade didn't get used last turn, like it wasn't set up to turn 5 a bunch of patrons, you've got to feel good about this game.
Yeah, you got to know no patrons are coming, and this unstable goal for Coleman is pretty big liability.
Yeah, you know, if Coleman would have just believed and attacked with his Deathspite last turn, he top decked the patron this turn and had Inner Rage. If he would have just believed the top card of his deck was going to be patron.
Yeah, he could have potentially set up patron that turn if he wanted to, but he's going to wait for the bigger patron extension. He doesn't want his patron getting cut down by like a shield slam or something, which has been teched in a lot lately.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people playing that one shield slam lately. I feel like, you know, it's a nod to like that occurrence that you said, and maybe, you know, some of the matchup with Handlock as well just gives them another big answer to Giants.
That's for sure. The third execute. So we're going to see Emperor come down, and Deathbite's going to be able to deal with it while also making patrons. You can even get rid of this Unstable Ghoul liability and this Armorsmith liability after the fact of making patrons.
Would you just run your Unstable Ghoul into this Emperor no matter what this turn?
Oh yeah, definitely. Your opponent just Emperor. He has the ability to go Warsong Commander, then Grim Patron, and play other cards with that. So if he's able to do that, he can bounce into the Ghoul, which is going to create 2 patrons. Then the explosion of the patrons or the Whirlwind of the Ghoul goes off, which would create 2 more patrons. So that Ghoul could create 4 patrons. So it's definitely a huge risk and something you want to get rid of, and might as well make your own patrons off of it instead of letting your opponent do it.
Yeah, I actually saw a matchup with you versus someone, I'm not going to name who it was, where they left a Unstable Ghoul in play, and it actually led to you winning a game off of it because of the situation that you had just mentioned.
Yeah, they left it up, and I was able to just reverse sweep the patrons using the Warsong Patron combo off the Emperor. So let's see if he's going to make that mistake here. Yeah, that could allow JJ to sneak back in this game if he chooses to execute instead of trading off this Unstable Ghoul.
Yeah, it looks like that's what's going to happen.
Oh my, that's So now, now from JJ's side, he can go Warsong Patron, and then how many patrons can he kill though off his opponent? Because if he can't kill any patrons with like an execute or anything, then he can't actually outnumber his opponent's patrons.
He has a free Whirlwind. Is there any way that he can like fill up Coleman's board and then use Whirlwind to take down a few of the patrons, and then leaving him with patrons and Coleman with 0?
Yeah, he can definitely equalize the patron count from that and start stabling that way. Yeah, he's just got to start running things in. So he runs in first. No, run into the Ghoul first.
No, all right. It'll say, because, I mean, Coleman's life total is going to be at a ridiculous number for this turn.
All right, it doesn't matter if he runs into the Ghoul first or not. Okay. Yeah, the life total doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
you're going to get
about the board control.
You're going to get a 40-point frothing at some point in time, most likely, so.
Yeah, he's going to be able to reverse him here.
Yep.
But,
well, let's see if he gets the turn finish. That's a big thing.
That's a big thing for sure.
There's so many animations here. Like, if there was a Sludge Belcher involved this turn, there was no way it got done with.
Yeah, or some, like, Paladin Secrets or something.
Yeah. JJ is frantically making movements on his mouse here. Let's see where this
queued up the... He missed a patron there because he queued up on the Armorsmith too quickly.
All right, so he leaves the 3/1 patrons left over. Okay.
So he should have had another clear on the patron. He should have been able to clear both of the remaining patrons. But the animation times were too quick and he queued up the actions.
I mean, he started that turn super quickly too. I mean, he was up on it very quickly.
He's still in a great spot though. Like, he's got hard draw in his hand, and he's got to have things left on the board for Battle Rage at the end of this.
Absolutely. He's still in a really good spot here for this matchup. Coleman's hand, you know, this Emperor, not a great Emperor. He's got a little bit of card draw and Acolyte of Pain, but I mean, it's also a liability because it starts to make more Grim Patrons.
What now?
Yeah, He's got to make the decision here if he wants to leave up the Warsong Commander or if he wants to leave up the 3/2 Patron. That's a pretty tough decision to make. He's going to take the Emperor here, which values 2 combo pieces, so it's not the worst, but it's not great. Especially no Whirlwind effects or anything.
Well, yeah, this leaves him with, you know, Patron with one on the butt, and he's got a Warsong Commander and a Frothing Berserker left over, so maybe he can win down the line. I mean, his opponent is at just 24. You know, he's at 50. So, like, maybe he's thinking, you know, if another Patron craziness happens, that he can win from there, maybe. You know, with a gigantic Frothing Berserker.
Sure, definitely. And, yeah, I mean, from 50, JJ is going to be needing to make some amount of patrons to be able to continue pressuring out. You're not going to kill him from 50, especially since Emperor's already been used.
Yeah, so what's the best way that JJ can set up a board here to start pressuring Coleman enough, but not leaving himself, you know, in jeopardy of some huge reverse kill?
I like just getting the Deathbite set up and then worrying about the board next turn with the patrons coming down with the Inner Rage and then the Whirlwind effect off the Deathbite. So yeah, you can make another 4 patrons, which Coleman shouldn't be able to deal with only 3 cards in his hand. So, while Coleman's Battle Rage cannot actually be activated. I think as Coleman, he's just got to like play Acolyte of Pain and pass. Just armor up.
It feels bad, man.
Yeah, there's not many options here. He needs the Warsong Commander, and he needs the... Oh, he's going to go a bit aggressive with the Acolyte of Pain, get the Battle Rage value and the card draw. I guess he'll find the other Warsong. He's hoping he can chain enough draw here to make it through, but Battle Rage for 1 is really sad. Oh, he picks up the Gnomish Inventor.
That was actually a pretty good draw. That draws a card, so it does what the Battle Rage would have done anyway, and it clears this Patron. Which, I mean, it's not the, you know, the end of the world to clear this Patron here. I mean, it's going to die to the Whirlwind effect from Deathbite, but it gets it off the board in case some crazy Frothing Berserker thing happens.
Yeah, definitely. And it makes his makes the Deathbite kind of have to be used to kill the Warsong Commander, because he doesn't know for sure that JJ wants to be using the Deathbite here.
It also gets his Gnomish Avenger damaged in case Battle Rage does happen. Like if, you know, if Deathbite doesn't get used here, like if JJ just has to have this Whirlwind effect to win the game, like he has to hold on to his Deathbite.
Yeah, but JJ does not need to hold on to this Deathbite. He's got like Grim Patron, Acolyte of Pain, Inner Rage Swing.
Yeah, I'm just talking from Coleman's side of the board with like hopeful, wishful thinking from this spot, because you've got to feel like you're in a bad spot here.
Oh yeah, Coleman needs people to send him his energy. You've been playing this series so great so far, and he gets down to the Patron Mirror, the last game, 2-2, climbing out from 0-2.
Yeah,
and
I mean, we're supposed to remain pretty neutral, but there's a small part of me that's rooting for Coleman. You know, I just want to see the reverse sweep. He played, I mean, both
bias casting.
I said a very small part. I just wanted to see. I like to see reverse sweeps. I like people losing very painful.
You better be careful. You're gonna get sapped. Oh man. So the Patron board comes out. He's gonna need something like a Brawl if he's hoping to come back now. This is the second Patron though.
Coleman would be the guy to have Brawl in his deck too.
Yeah, he'd be the one. But not today. Oh man, he can't even Battle Rage for a card either. Oh, he couldn't. He just needs to Whirlwind first to load up the board with Patrons. Yeah, and then he won't have the mana to play Brawl.
Hey, but if he fills up JJ's board, he can't Frothing Berserker him.
Yeah. He'll just draw his entire deck and slowly kill you.
Yeah. Does Coleman have a way to stay in this game from here? Like, is it over, or is there a way for him to get in this?
It's looking like an armor pass turn. What now? You don't really want to play, I mean, I guess he could War Axe down one of the 3/3 Patrons. He's just gonna War Axe the face. I like this. This is the line. This is what we needed. This is the smart line. He's got the Frothing in his hand. All he needs is a Warsong Commander and another Whirlwind effect, and he's almost there with damage. As long as an Armorsmith doesn't show up.
And you spoke of somebody, and she decided to show up just in time, it looks like. Armorsmith's showing up here, and JJ's got to be looking for some kind of Whirlwind effect here, right? Just to kind of gain a bunch of armor. And it's always the last card.
He's got both Armorsmiths and Whirlwind effects behind it, but he's got to make sure he doesn't set himself up into a board state where Coleman can reverse Patron using the procs on like Warsong Patron to be able to bump into the Armorsmith multiple times to then make a bunch of Patrons, then Whirlwind effect, and then fill up the boards completely, trade down the Patrons, and have gain an advantage in the Patron count based on and the amount of patrons the whirlwind effect kills.
I think I went cross-eyed during that explanation. This matchup is, these mirrors are just so insane. Like, you're like, all right, so you want to push here, but you don't want to push in this situation because you might get reversed. And oh man, it feels like this is the most stressful matchup in all of Hearthstone.
Yeah, it's definitely really, really hard to figure out what the correct line is. And he's going to even throw down the Unstable Ghoul. Honestly, his approach here might just be make the animation time as long as possible with double Armor Smith and Unstable Ghoul, so that the patron sweep can't actually happen because there's too many patrons spawning and Armor Smith's triggered and Acolyte of Pain triggered and the Unstable Ghoul exploding. the screw everything, let's rope him out plan.
Yeah, I've actually heard people talk about that. They were like, one of the ways to beat Patron is to just spam a bunch of things that have animations and like actually have to do things physically in the game, like secrets or Sludge Belcher. And that's actually one of the ways to do it. They talk about if you have 2 Sludge Belchers in play, they're trying to go off of patrons, they usually can't. They don't have enough time with everything that's going on.
If you have 3 in play, it's actually physically impossible to kill them.
Oh, wow. You wouldn't know this. You're like, yeah, I've tested it multiple times. Like,
yeah. I've tried to Frothing Lethal people with them having 3 Sludge Belchers up. It's just not possible. If you do the Frothing Patron OTK, where you go Warsong, Frothing Patron, Inner Rage, trade off all the things, can't do it in time. Coleman still trying to find a way to come back in this game. Just armor passes that turn because he doesn't have the tools necessary yet. Well, it hasn't armor passed yet. He's thinking about whether or not he wants to equip the Deathbite and swing or not.
So if you attack the ghoul, like what happens here, like they actually just gain a bunch of extra life, spawn some extra patrons that are back to full health. It's actually a problem.
Yeah, the life gain is like too much. There's not much you can do. So he wants to set up the Deathbite, but at the same time, like Warsong, Frothing, Whirlwind, Deathbite Swing is not going to be enough damage to kill your opponent at that point. He needs a Patron reversal now. So that ghoul needs to be in play for him. So
well, there's no way for JJ to win this turn, right? You know, there's no way like Warsong Frothing after like slamming your own guy. Like he doesn't have enough, and he has no way to kill his own.
Yeah, you would need to kill 2 minions here.
Yeah, and he can't do that.
Possible. Yeah. Yep. So Coleman still has a little bit more time to try and find a Patron reversal, but without either Warsong or Patron in his hand, it's a bit trickier. Even more armor for JJ.
Yeah. And like this is actually something I've seen players do in the mirror is when they're ahead like this with this kind of board and the other player only has like a few cards and you're worried about just the Frothing Berserker, they start killing their own minions. You know, making less minions be in play.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the ways you can lose is if you get Frothing OTK'd or if they're able to reverse the patrons. But Coleman, he picks up the Warsong Commander, doesn't have the patrons, so there's no way he can really reverse the patrons here. And this looks like his last turn to live, so he's going to make a desperation Frothing play, I guess, and show his opponent what he's got.
Yeah, just kind of like, hey, I could do this, but it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two Armor Smiths are going to prove to be just like way too much this turn. I mean, there's no way Coleman can do the 60 or whatever is going to be needed to get through all this, or the 50 something.
His Whirlwind effect is only gaining him 6, or not even gaining him any damage, is it? Because the 2 Armor Smiths. I think it's actually losing him damage.
Yeah. Hey man, small moral victories. You're gonna get to attack for a bunch this turn.
Yeah.
Getting some damage.
Yeah, he's gaining 6 damage from the Whirlwind, right? Because of the armor effects. And then from the second Whirlwind, he's gaining a little bit more.
Oh, he also just ran out of time, it looks like, too. His turn just ended.
Not quite enough. A lot of damage done, though. Pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be one of the bigger damage-dealing turns we've seen in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the biggest you've ever seen a Frothing Berserker?
Like 180?
Okay, that's absurd. 180?
I play a lot of Patron.
Hey, 40 in one turn from these cards. Not enough. Well played. Given out by Coleman to JJ here. And you know what? It was well played by both of them.
Yeah, that series was... I'd say that's the best series so far. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
We got to see a lot of intricate matchups that you don't usually get to see. You got to see a lot of the ways that you can beat Patron, which was pretty cool because we don't usually get to talk about that too much. It's usually just talking about how good Patron is and how much it's winning. But now we got to talk about some of the ways that Patron can actually die to even just like 2 tech cards in the Mage. defeated Patron Warrior. Duplicate and a second Flame Strike. That's the only two changes that were made in that Mage deck. And it just played out so differently and was able to just consistently beat Patron enough to bring Coleman to the top 8. So that's pretty incredible that that's all you really need. So how broken is the deck really when there's all these tech options available?
Well, you know, you say that, but the guy just had to tailor multiple decks in his lineup just to beat one deck that was in the lineup of the other player. And is that healthy? You know, like the fact that he has to make these changes in these decks and play these specific decks just to beat one deck on the other side. You know, yeah, you say, oh, look, this does look good against Patron, but let's look at it from the other side. The guy just changed multiple decks and multiple cards to deal with one.
And then still ended up losing to Patron.
Yep, and then still ended up losing to Patron. Well, I mean, if he lost the match, he was going to be losing to Patron. So, to be fair, I mean, he had to 3-0 at the end, and he came really close to doing it.
Yeah. Well played by JJ, too, trying to adapt to the decks. I really liked in the Freeze Mage, where he identified that the secret was duplicate, and then just went full smork and just gave up on trying to take it to fatigue because he knew he couldn't win that way, and just changed his game plan completely. Really well played by both players.
Yeah, while I thought Coleman played amazing in the match, I was really impressed with JJ and like how deep he thought on a lot of his plays. Like really took his time, figured stuff out, and we saw some really deeply thought out plays from him. I was really impressed.
All right. Yeah, I can't wait to see who plays next. So let's get on to setting up the next matches, and we'll be right back in 2 or 3 minutes.